So it's recording. What happens if I close this? Still recording? Cool. Dope. Okay. What's going on, people? What's going on, YouTube? Now, I know it's been a long time since I've last uploaded anything. Sorry about that. I actually started working just recently, so now I have to find a new balance between working and actually producing these videos. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to stop producing videos. I'm going to keep going with this because I know it's going to eventually lead somewhere. Now, Happy New Year's, everybody. It is December 31st right now, and 2017 is just around the corner. Now, with the new year, I know that a lot of you have these resolutions that you want to accomplish. I know that there's certain things you want to get done. Brand new year, brand new you, right? Now that's cool and all. One warning I have to say is don't overload yourself. In fact, I recommend that you only choose one thing to focus on, just because most of the time, out of a list of 10 things that you set yourself up to do, you're only gonna get one of those things done, most likely. So for this New Year's, if you want to get something done for yourself, I recommend you choose one thing and one thing only and stick to that one thing, because if you spend 100% of your attention on that one thing, you're more than likely to accomplish it. But anyways, enough ranting about that. What I mainly wanted to talk about today was I actually set a resolution for myself, a goal for myself earlier this year. Now, setting goals for New Year's is great, but I believe that you should always be constantly setting goals for yourself, no matter what time of the year it is, because you should always be trying to strive for something. Now, last June 20th, I told myself that I was going to go for an entire year sober. No drinking, no drugs. And so far, it's been 6 months. December 20 was just like 11 days ago for me. And I just have to wait until June 20th in order to drink again. Now, usually when I'm at parties or I go out and people are drinking and people want me to drink, I'll tell them, sorry, can't drink. I'm not drinking for an entire year. And people will ask me, why are you not drinking? And most of the time, I won't go in depth about my answer. I'll just tell them, hey, I don't want to drink. I'm just trying it just to do it. I'm just getting my health in order. I actually won't tell them about the deep emotional reasons as to why I decided to quit. Now, I'm going to go into my philosophy, my psychology behind how I've been able to last for 6 months just completely sober without anything, and maybe it'll help you out. Maybe it'll help you out if you're trying to do that for yourself. So I remember years ago, just starting off, okay, I'm not exactly proud of this, and maybe I shouldn't be saying this on camera for the whole internet to see, but fuck it. I started drinking when I was 15 years old. I started smoking weed when I was 15 years old. And I have smoked a lot of weed, and I've had a lot of good times with weed. But when it all comes down to it, weed just isn't good for me. It doesn't give me the same feelings that it used to. There would be times in my life where I'd feel like I've overdone it, and I felt like I wasn't able to think as clearly as before. I would feel like drinking and smoking weed would actually kind of fuck up my mind, fuck up my body. I could just feel it deep inside of here that something was off. I hope I didn't touch the microphone just now. I probably did. Probably gonna be a little sound. In fact, real quick, before we continue, I wanna see that we're still recording here. Amazing, we're still recording. I'm trying this new thing where I record on the phone, and because this is a new camera, this camera's not going to pick out the sound as much, so I've got a mic attached, under my lapel. So what I would do actually is, I remember starting off small. I would tell myself, I'm not going to smoke for an entire day, or something like that, and I would do it. And then I remember going for a whole week without smoking, and that would work out. And then I remember going for an entire 2 weeks without smoking. And then I tried going for an entire month without smoking. And then I tried 2 months, and then 3 months. And I believe after my 4-month challenge, I actually told myself that it wasn't necessary to do a 6-month challenge. I just wanted to go for an entire year. So I went an entire year without smoking weed. Now, all these small incremental challenges, all of these small challenges built up into my identity, because I proved to myself that I was able to abstain even for if a small amount. So if you can hold off from drinking or smoking for just 1 minute, you can do 2 minutes. And if you can do 2 minutes, you can do an hour. And if you can do an hour, you can do half a day. If you can do half a day, you can go an entire day. And the amount of time that you can abstain is limitless, but you just have to prove to yourself that if you start small, then you can eventually get big. You will have the ability to abstain from drinking or doing drugs for longer and longer periods of time. Now, actually, something that's interesting is that if you're logically telling yourself, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to smoke, and you try to go for maybe a year without drinking or smoking, without ever trying anything like this before, you're more than likely going to fail because there's not enough of an emotional reason for you to quit. For me personally, like I said earlier, there's a deep emotional reason as to why I decided to quit. Now, I'm not too proud of this, but I'll say it anyways. Back in college, when I went to UC Riverside, I drank a lot and I smoked a lot. And it was less of just because I was enjoying it. It was more of because, I guess, it was a part of the culture that I started to become accustomed to. I was in a fraternity. And of course, if you surround yourself with a certain type of people, you will become that type of person. So minimum, I'd be drinking at least once a week. And that doesn't sound too bad to most people. But when you start off with drinking once a week or smoking once a week, and then that becomes 2 times a week, and then that becomes 3 times a week, and then you start losing control of it because when you constantly drink and smoke, it actually depletes your willpower. It depletes your ability for self-control. If you happen to be abusing it, then you can end up fucking yourself up. So it wasn't actually the fraternity's fault, but the fraternity was one of the first steps for me to lose control of myself and who I was. So back in Riverside, I ended up getting into this relationship. And to be honest, I wasn't the happiest in it. In fact, I don't know what happened, but I started eating all of these bad foods while I was in this relationship. I started eating all of these bad foods on top of drinking and smoking. And I stopped going out as much. I stopped going to the gym. I actually stopped socializing with a lot of people. I would kind of just stay inside and eat bad foods and kind of just stagnate. And because I was so unhappy back in Riverside, I didn't treat the girl I was with the best way I could possibly treat her. I didn't give her what she deserved. In fact, the type of person I was back then was just someone that I never thought that I'd become. I remember looking at myself in the mirror as the days would pass in that relationship, and I remember gaining weight, and I remember just looking at myself and saying, I'm getting fat, I'm getting fat, I'm getting fat. And whenever you tell yourself something enough times, you begin to believe it and you begin to become it. So inevitably I got fat and I got really big, and it was the biggest I've ever weighed in my entire life. And I began to associate my bigness, my stagnation with the relationship I was in. And she could tell that I wasn't happy. She could tell that I wasn't happy with her. She could tell that I wasn't fully there. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth with this story, but that's the gist of it. And basically,
Are you doing a time lapse?
I'm just doing a vlog, like a YouTube vlog.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
thanks.
You should put a mic into that.
I've got one right here. It's hidden.
Oh, smart.
Thanks. So, time lapse, good idea. I'm gonna try that. So, yeah. I'm gonna check actually real quick. Cool. Still going. So yeah, one of the reasons why I quit drinking and I quit smoking, and one of the reasons why I'm trying to fill my body with good things right now, is because I associate the drinking and the drugs with how I was in that previous relationship. I look at the type of person I was in that relationship, and I think to myself, I think about how disgusted I was with myself. I think about how disgusting of a person I was. It's like I lost control of my character. So anytime anyone tries to put a shot in front of me, or anytime anyone pulls up a joint in front of me, I no longer associate the shot with good feelings, with relaxing. I no longer associate the joint with relaxation and good feelings as well. I associate both of those with pain. I associate both of those with stagnation. I associate both of those with loss of character. I associate both of those with feeling the worst that I have ever felt in my entire life. I have never felt so lost and so disgusted with myself in my entire life. And I'm afraid that if I take that one shot, or if I smoke that one joint, or if I smoke that one pot, I'm afraid that that'll become a stepping stone for me to include more and more alcohol and more weed into my system. And I really don't need that right now at this time in my life. It's like I have a lot of things that I want to do for myself in this lifetime, and I won't be able to do those things if my mind isn't clear enough to function. Because I find that when I drink or I smoke weed, I become a lot more impulsive. I give into cravings a lot more. I eat worse foods for myself. I give into not going to the gym. I give in to not going out to socialize and talk to people and get to know people. I become more lazy. I take shortcuts that are detrimental for me instead of taking the long and proper way. So another reason why I'm actually not drinking and smoking is also due to social image. When I start a challenge like this and people ask me why I'm not drinking, and then I tell them that I'm not going for an entire year without drinking or smoking, and that I'm just sober for an entire year, it sets this type of expectation. It's just like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. And when people ask me, hey, how's the challenge going? And I tell them I failed. That's not too good of a feeling. Now, it's actually interesting. Last year, I actually attempted this challenge again. I attempted to go for an entire year sober, but what ended up happening was that I ended up smoking after 6 months, although I went for the entire year without drinking. What's interesting is that when I told people this, the reality is, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck about your success. No one gives a fuck about where you're going. It's just like, people were just like, oh, that's too bad. Better luck next time. Or, hey, you did a good job in the first place getting this far, Or, hey, at least you're still not drinking. There was actually only one friend that looked at me with disgust. That was a genuine friend. There was one friend that actually, even though he didn't tell me he was disgusted with me, he gave me the look of, I had more faith in you. I had more faith in your ability, and you weren't able to follow through. I thought you were going to do this. So to that same friend, I'm going to do it this time. I really, really will, because I'm at the same point where I was last year, or last time I did this, where I gave in. And I don't see myself giving in. I'm also afraid that if I smoke or I drink and I give in to my urges, then I won't be able to trust myself. How will I be able to trust myself in the future if I try to set something for myself? If I tell myself I'm going to do something? If I drink or I smoke now, then I basically lied to myself. And if I lied to myself, then how can I trust myself? That shit's really scary. I don't want to be a liar. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. For 6 months, I've been sober ever since June 20. And it feels good. My head feels a lot clearer. I'm able to think more. I'm able to do more things. I have a lot more willpower. I sleep better. But the thing is, to be honest, I'm not the healthiest I could be. In fact, I've gained weight again. I'm actually the same weight right now that I was when I was coming out of Riverside, when I was ashamed of that weight. It's come back. It's inevitable that you will gain weight if you're not eating the right things. And I haven't been eating the right things lately. And I'm in a relationship again, but learning from my last relationship, I have no right to blame the relationship I'm in right now. Everything is solely my responsibility. I've gotten as big as I am now because of me. And it's only my fault because I've given in to my urges to eat bad food. So this isn't exactly a New Year's resolution. This is actually something that I've been planning in my mind for quite a while now. But I'm about to go for 30 days eating only plant-based foods. I'm going to do a 30-day vegan challenge for myself. This will be good. This will be a good way to flush out my system. This will be a good way to reset my body chemistry. Because when you actually reset your body and you put good things into your body, you actually crave more of those good things. And I'll be able to lose this weight that I put on. Because right now, when I look in the mirror, it's interesting because just a couple weeks ago, I look at myself and I look at myself with disgust. I look at myself, I look at this thing, like this. It's pretty funny actually. I'd look at this thing and I'd be like, I wasn't there before. I'd look at my stomach, I'd look at my waist, and I'd be like, damn, I've really gotten big again. I mean, I'm not fat, but it's still, this isn't preferable. I don't feel good in my own body. I don't like that. I feel sluggish. I feel heavy. I feel like I can't think as clearly. I feel like I'm not able to get as much done, all because I'm giving in to eating food that makes me feel good. But what would make me feel better is if I actually ate the right things. It's funny. It's like people are always changing. They say that your entire body changes every 7 years. I don't know too much about that, but that's just something interesting to think about. And right now, I'm moving into a different stage of my life, and there's going to be constant changes. I'm always constantly going to be entering different stages of my life because I'm trying to grow and I'm trying to move forward. I'm trying to live the best possible life I can for myself, and I'm trying to contribute as much as I possibly can to the world. All right, that's pretty much everything. Again, Happy New Year's to everybody. Seriously, write one resolution for yourself, write one goal that you want to tackle, make sure you date that goal, make sure that goal is very specific. The more specific your goal is, the more that you can visualize in your mind's eye what that goal is going to be or how that goal is going to turn out, the more likely that that goal is going to happen. Almost everything that I've ever set for myself that I was able to picture very clearly in my mind, I've accomplished. Anything that I've ever truly wanted ended up happening in one way or the other just because I was so focused on getting it. So anyways, thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like, subscribe for more content, and I will see you in 2017. Peace.